Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, I will be talking about our significant storm system moving across the middle of the country as we get into the middle of next week, followed by a potential nor'easter, a northeast snowstorm as we head into next weekend, and also the polar vortex, which will bring cold air across the southern United States potentially as we get towards the Christmas time frame here in December. If you guys are new here to the channel and have yet to subscribe, everybody please press the subscribe button down below. It's free to do and you get all of my exclusive weather content here on this channel. I cover the United States, Canada, and the tropics and everything in between. So hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates here on this channel. Looking here this morning at the visible satellite imagery, you can see lots of bright colors up here across the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest. That is our next significant storm system taking shape across Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. And this will be digging down farther southwest and moving into the center of the country as we head into early and middle portion of next week. So looking here this weekend, we have that trough digging in across portions of Washington, Oregon State, getting into Northern California along the Pacific Northwest. And this trough is going to be responsible for some heavy mountain snows and also some flooding rainfall across the immediate coastlines there of the West Coast. We got winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings here in the purples and pinks here across portions of the West Coast. And that will mean some heavier snows, especially in those upper elevations here, especially getting into the Sierra Nevadas and getting up into those higher elevations here into Washington, Oregon, and Idaho as well as we head into later today. Some heavier rainfall along the immediate coastlines there of the West Coast. That will continue into the evening hours here tonight with some very heavy snows around the central and northern Sierra Nevadas going into the evening hours. And then that will continue to spread its way a little bit farther to the east here toward the Rocky Mountains as we head through the day on Sunday and into Sunday night. Looking here at the very heavy snowfall from this system as it moves into the West Coast, yeah, we're going to be talking about widespread double-digit snows into those higher elevations there into Idaho, Washington State, Oregon State, and again across the Sierra Nevadas, some very heavy snowfall as we head through the next 48 hours. And kind of a closer view of this, definitely in feet of snow. We're going to be seeing 2, 3, even 4 feet of snow within the next 48 hours here, especially into the central and northern Sierra Nevadas across California. So definitely some very heavy snow in those ski resorts out there across those areas. But again, with the liquid precipitation, that rainfall out there the next 48 hours or so, lots of heavy rainfall across north central California, getting up the western coastline here of Oregon and Washington State for the Seattle area, getting down toward Portland, Oregon. And again, much of northern California seeing those flooding rains around 1 to 3 inches with locally higher amounts than that, possibly pushing up to near 5 inches, especially in northwestern California going into early next week. But as we get into early next week, on your Monday, December 12th, we're going to see that trough dig all the way down to the south across southern California and the desert southwest before starting to eject across the middle of the country into the central plains going into Tuesday, December 13th. And what this storm system will be responsible for, especially on the warm side, will be the severe weather going into the day on Monday. We're definitely going to be talking about an isolated threat for severe weather across southeastern Oklahoma into North Texas here near the Dallas-Fort Worth area and getting up here toward Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll have to watch out for some hail-producing storms as we move through the day on Monday, especially as we get into Monday overnight here going into Tuesday morning. And it's all responsible with this positively tilted trough digging in across the West Coast and the desert Southwest on Monday. You can see the very strong returns here of that mid-level jet around 90, 100 knots or stronger across portions of the Baja of California, rounding the base of that trough. And again, those low-level winds with that low-level jet is going to be enough, especially into Oklahoma and North Texas, to produce maybe a couple of rotating supercells. But I do really think that the hail-producing storms will win out with this system on Monday as they cross through southeastern Oklahoma and into North Texas. So let's time this out for you. This is Monday late afternoon, 3, 4, or 5 o'clock time frame. You got some scattered sprinkles, scattered showers out there. Farther to the west with the cold air wrapping around the backside of the system across the Rockies into northern New Mexico, we could be talking about some heavier snows across those areas. And then as we move into the overnight hours here through the evening hours on Monday, we could be talking about some supercell thunderstorms breaking out across central and western Oklahoma, getting into northwest Texas around the Wichita Falls area, getting back up here towards the western side of the Oklahoma City metro area. And that will press its way farther to the east going into Tuesday morning with more of a squall line developing, mainly with some damaging winds and hail. I'm not too concerned of tornadoes on Monday, but again, these storms will be coming through at an unfavorable time of day for any of that stronger instability with this system. But the kinematics are there with the mid-level and low-level jets, so I do think damaging winds and especially hail will be the primary mode of concern as we head through southeastern Oklahoma and getting into North Texas here as we get into the overnight hours and into early Tuesday morning. But then as we head into the day on Tuesday, that warm sector will start to open up across the southern plains, getting into the Arklatex region, and that is going to move farther to the north across the lower Missouri Valley through the day on Tuesday and bringing up a lot of warm, moist air. And that's why the Storm Prediction Center has actually maintained an enhanced risk, or that 30% shading here across southern Arkansas and north central Louisiana, far east Texas, and even far western Mississippi, with even that 15% slight risk shading here kind of surrounding that, getting back toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, getting up here toward Little Rock, and then over toward the Jackson, Mississippi area and New Orleans as well as we head into the day on Tuesday. So looking at this here, that, like I said, that warm sector will be opening up a little bit farther to the north. We got 50s and 60s all the way up here into Missouri, eastern portions of Kansas, southern Illinois, and then farther to the south, a lot of these 60s and even 70s widespread into East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Those dew points will be rising as we have that warm, moist air advecting northward out of the central and western Gulf of Mexico. Dew points will be rising to the 50s and 60s out there, especially across those enhanced risk zones into southern Arkansas, getting through Louisiana and eastern portions there of Texas with those mid-60 dew points on Tuesday evening. And again, we have that negative tilt starting to take shape across portions of the middle of the country, a negatively tilted trough with that strong mid-level jet here around 100 knots across portions of Texas, getting through Oklahoma and the Missouri Valley, and a very formidable low-level jet as well that will be steering that rotating supercell type of event across portions of Arkansas, Louisiana, and East Texas. So definitely, I think supercell thunderstorms embedded within a squall line will be likely as we head through the day on Tuesday, especially Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. So if you live in Little Rock, Shreveport, getting into Texarkana, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, even down here into portions of New Orleans, Jackson, Mississippi, you definitely have to watch the weather forecast on Tuesday. And looking here at the Tuesday afternoon time frame, we got that squall line moving through, embedded supercell storms. These storms could be rotating. We got all modes of severe weather possible, from damaging winds to large hail and possibly a few tornadoes as we head through the afternoon and evening on Tuesday. That will propagate its way farther to the east across the Arklatex and into the western Tennessee Valley and across the Gulf Coast as we head into Tuesday evening, bringing that continued risk for damaging winds, large hail, and some tornadoes. And again, that heavy rainfall threat will be there. The flash flooding threat will be there across the deep south as well with these storms as they march off to the east. And then as we get into Wednesday, we got a lower risk again, but still a 15% slight risk across portions of Mississippi, getting into southwestern Alabama, western portions of Florida, getting into southeastern Louisiana, again, including portions of New Orleans, getting up toward the Hattiesburg area here into Mississippi and the Mobile, Alabama area as well. That is going into the Wednesday into Thursday time frame. But as we go into late next week, this system will be moving up toward the East Coast. You can see that low pressure center starting to move in toward the Virginia area into portions of the Carolinas, right along the East Coast, and that will continue to move up the East Coast toward the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast as we get into next Saturday, next weekend here on Saturday, December 17th, just near and maybe just offshore, and that's going to put a prime area for all that cold air moving southward and wrapping around the low-pressure system here off the East Coast, and that is a recipe for potentially a northeast snowstorm across portions of Pennsylvania, getting into West Virginia, Virginia itself, and then up across the East Coast, potentially across the I-95 corridor from New York City to Boston. But again, any wobble to the west or east with this track could mean the difference between snowfall and heavy rainfall. So definitely we'll have to keep an eye on this as we head into Friday. And then that system will hang around here across the Northeast as we head into Saturday as a 979 millibar low pressure center, very strong low across portions there of Long Island, moving up here towards the outer banks of Massachusetts and Connecticut as we head towards the next weekend time frame. And again, it could be dropping some heavy snow. The European high resolution guidance is showing several inches potentially across east central Pennsylvania, getting down into West Virginia, northern Virginia, portions of Maryland, and again across potentially that I-95 corridor here into New Jersey, New York City, and getting over toward Boston there. We could be seeing snowfall here of around 4, 5, even 6 inches or higher. So we'll continue to watch this as we get a little bit closer. Again, any wobble in this track could mean the difference between heavy rainfall or heavy snowfall, or just a mix of all precipitation types. So we'll continue to watch that in the days to come. But what is more certain is that behind this system, as we get into the next week's time frame, the following week, we're actually going to see that very strong Arctic plunge farther south here across the lower 48 and much of southern and southeastern Canada here, really centered on Ontario and Quebec, with that polar vortex here on Monday, December 19th in the following week. And these are your high temperatures going into that time frame. These are high temperatures in the teens across the Chicago area, getting back into central Iowa. We got the 20s all the way south toward Amarillo, Texas, getting into portions of Oklahoma here. And then look across the upper Midwest. We could see below zero high temperatures up toward the Twin Cities, northern Minnesota, northeastern portions there of North Dakota, and a lot of that cold air with below zero high temperatures can be found across Saskatchewan, getting into Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, Canada as well. And the wind chills with this is going to be pretty impressive as well. We got minus 30 to even minus 35 below wind chills here across portions of Ontario, Quebec, Canada, back toward Manitoba and Saskatchewan. But even across the lower 48 here in the United States, across Minnesota, the Dakotas, and portions of Wisconsin, we could have those wind chill values dropping back to minus 10 to even minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit as we head into that Monday time frame. This is Monday afternoon, so that is definitely concerning, with potentially some wind advisories, or sorry, wind chill advisories rather, being issued across these areas as we get towards that time frame. And again, this cold air will be sticking around here through the long term as well, from December 17th through the 23rd time frame. Again, just a couple of days before Christmas. I do think that much of the United States will be below normal, especially centered on the Pacific Northwest and the Rockies. And that will be sliding to the east as well. And you can see Alaska is going to be much warmer. That's because we're going to have a ridge up there in Alaska. And again, what goes up must come down. And when we have a ridge of high pressure across Alaska, that's going to force that polar vortex and that colder air farther to the south. We're also going to see some active weather as well, especially across southern California, southern Nevada, into Arizona. That will spread eastward across the central and southern plains and even the Tennessee Valley during that time frame. And we could be seeing some snowfall across the southern areas as well, especially with that cold air in place. So do stay tuned to that. Maybe a couple of snowstorms getting closer toward that Christmas holiday itself. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys like this video, definitely press the like button down below. That's the thumbs up button. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. And most importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks to all the new subscribers out there. You guys mean so much to me. Thank you guys for being such an amazing audience here on this channel. Again, hit that notification bell as well to get all of my daily weather forecast updates here on this channel. Have a great Saturday, everyone. A great weekend out there, and I'll see you all in the next video.